Welcome to Hauntings at Dusk, true ghost stories and fiction UK with me, author Tina Vantyler. Today's episode is a ghost story written by me called The Thing in Mother's Mirror. I first noticed it 3 days after Mother's funeral in June. Just a flicker at the edge of the ornate mirror that had hung above the dressing table in her bedroom my whole life. I was packing her things, a daughter's final duty, when movement caught my eye. But when I approached, my boots creaking on the sanded floorboards, the mirror showed only me. Dark circles under bloodshot eyes, unwashed hair pulled back messily, skin sallow in the afternoon light. Mother had loved that mirror. Amelia should say, in a confidential tone. A lady's mirror remembers her even when others don't. She'd spend hours in front of it perfecting her appearance well into old age, even after her memory had disintegrated, combing her hair into a bun, patting powder on her forehead, pouting as she slicked on coral lipstick. As an only child, I'd been jealous of the mirror, the time she spent with it rather than me. I'd never known my dad. There was only the two of us. Or maybe that should be the three of us. Mother told me the mirror had been in the family for decades. Large and oval, it made me uneasy. I'd always thought it grotesque, with its carved dark wood frame of twisted vines and what looked like half-hidden faces. Even from a foot away, the air around it felt different, cooler, as if the mirror was quietly absorbing the room's warmth. The second time I saw the flickering, I was swathing the mirror in bubble wrap. The plastic crackled under my fingers as something shifted in the reflection, not behind me, but within the glass itself, like a dark shape swimming up from depths. I nearly dropped the heavy mirror, then told myself it was grief playing tricks. When I hung it back on the wall, I swear I heard a soft sigh of contentment. That night, unable to sleep in Mother's empty house, I went back to her room. Moonlight caught the mirror's surface, and I saw it clearly. A face behind my reflection, pale and distorted, pressing against the glass as if trying to break through. Not Mother's face, something else. I called Katia, my oldest friend since primary school. I didn't mention the mirror, just that I couldn't sleep. "Let me come to help," she said. "You're grieving. Nobody should face a house clearance like that alone." Her voice was warm, practical, so unlike my mother's ethereal, distant manner. Katia had always been my anchor to normalcy, the one who'd roll her eyes whenever Mother insisted I come straight home after school instead of joining our classmates at the cinema. My friend was 34, like me. "I need the time," I lied, "the quiet." The truth was, I didn't want anyone else near the mirror, especially not Katia, who might notice what I was beginning to see. The next evening, as the sunset painted the room orange, I sat before it. My fingertips tingled when I touched the glass, no longer cold, but feverishly warm like skin. My reflection looked wrong, delayed, moving a fraction of a second after I did, and behind it that face grew clearer. It had Mother's high cheekbones, but its eyes were sludge-brown holes, its mouth too wide. When I leaned closer, I caught a whiff of Mother's perfume, musky vanilla with an undertone of something sour, like spoiled milk. Then I found the notebooks tucked inside Mother's dressing table drawer, nestled under her jumble of compacts, eyeshadows, mascaras, lipstick. So much makeup going back years, much of it dried out with the casings broken. 3 small, leather-bound volumes spanning 30 years. The brittle pages released a waft of stale rose perfume as I turned them. The earlier entries, in Gran's firm, looping hand, spoke of seaside visits with her husband and my mother, Ellen, lunches with friends and shopping trips. On one, she described finding the mirror at a house clearance. "Such a beautiful piece," she wrote, although Ellen hates it, says the faces in the frame watch her. Later pages were darker. Gran wrote about how she started seeing things in the mirror. What things, she didn't say. She began to record time spent sitting in front of it. 15 minutes, then an hour, then full afternoons. The mirror's surface, she noted, would sometimes feel like pushing a finger into soft clay when she touched it. I'd known Gran a little, a vague, frail figure, but she'd died the September I'd started school. Only now did I remember Mother complaining that Gran would spend hours staring into the mirror's depths, that is, before she became tormented by the dementia that killed her. By the final entries, Gran's writing had collapsed into a shaky scrawl. One line chilled me. It wants her. If I sit long enough, maybe it will take me instead. That is when I understood. All those hours my mother spent at her mirror weren't about vanity. She'd been keeping something at bay, feeding it with her attention, her devotion, her reflection. Keeping me safe? I understood why she never let me stand in front of it for long as a child. But now she was gone, and the mirror needed someone new. Mother should have destroyed it, and I should destroy it now. I even went so far as to lift a hammer from the toolbox in the hall. But when I stood before the mirror, hammer raised, my reflection smiled, although I wasn't smiling, and I found my arm lowering of its own accord. The hammer slipped from my fingers, landing with a muffled thud on the rug. I found myself sitting at Mother's dressing table more and more. The thing in the mirror grew stronger. Sometimes when I look, I see Mother's face instead of mine, young and lovely as she was in old photographs before I was born. Sometimes I see something else, something that wears her face all wrong. Each day the surface feels less like glass. First waxy, then gelatinous. Now parts of it ripple when I'm not even touching it, like the skin of a disturbed pond. Katya came by uninvited yesterday, letting herself in with the spare key I'd given her when we were teenagers. "Amelia, this isn't healthy," she said, standing in the doorway of Mother's bedroom, where she found me sitting at the dressing table. "Is that your mother's shirt? You smell like her perfume, and what has happened to your face?" "What do you mean?" I asked, although I knew. "You don't look like yourself." Katya stepped closer, concerned. "Have you been using makeup to look more like your mother?" For a moment I saw myself through her eyes, my hair combed into a bun like Mother's, her blouse hanging from my small frame, her coral lipstick smeared unevenly across my mouth. "You need to get out of this house," Katya said firmly. "Pack a bag. You're staying with me for a few days." I almost went with her, but as she moved towards the door, she passed in front of the mirror. She paused, staring at her reflection, or what should have been a reflection. I saw her mouth drop open and she gasped. "What was that?" "You saw it too?" Hope and dread mingled in my chest. Katya backed away. "There's something wrong with that mirror, Amelia." "I know," I said, rising to stand between her and the mirror. Mother knew it too. Forehead creased with alarm, Katya shook her head. "Your delusions are catching, but we need to get rid of this." She took out her phone. "My brother can help us take it to the dump, or—" "No!" I surprised myself with the vehemence in my voice. "You don't understand. It needs me." Katya looked from me to the mirror and back again. "Amelia, listen to yourself." But I was listening to something else, a soft voice, very quiet, coming from the mirror, calling my name with Mother's voice, but not quite Mother's voice. "You need to leave," I told Katya, not recognising my own tone. She tried one more time to reach me, gripping my shoulders. "This isn't you. This is grief and this house. Please come with me. You must." I peeled off her hands and pushed her away, harder than I meant to. "Go, and leave my key." After Katya left, I sat before the mirror for hours. My reflection doesn't match my movements anymore. When I frowned at a text from Katya, another plea to leave the house, my reflection reached up to touch its face in a gesture of contemplation I hadn't made. This morning I noticed my green eyes are darker, mud-coloured. My normally plump cheeks have thinned. The cheekbones are higher. I'm starting to look like Mother. Behind my reflection, the thing wearing her face is beckoning. A muffled humming sound emanates from the glass, a lullaby Mother used to sing. When I put my ear close to the surface, I can hear whispering. Not just Mother's voice, but Gran's too, I think, and others I don't recognise. A chorus of women calling me home? The glass feels soft and cool and liquid now, like water against my fingertips. When I press, my hand sinks into the knuckles. It doesn't hurt. Nothing has ever felt so right. Just a little further. I can hear them clearly on the other side. Mother, Gran, others. I bolted the front door. Katia is pounding on it, shouting my name. I should answer, but I can't pull myself away from the mirror now. I don't want to. After all, a lady's mirror remembers her even when others don't. And I want to be remembered. Thanks for listening to Hauntings at Dusk. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe on your favourite podcast platform. Join me again in 2 weeks for another shiver-inducing supernatural story. New episodes on the first and third Friday of every month.